Hey there. I've been thinking recently, what are traditional cuisines and how do they play into our local food systems? I'm going to take a journey today to explore what Canadian cuisine means. I'm going to try and learn something, and maybe you will too. First, let's go get some food. Thought we'd stop off and bless this journey. I've heard this guy's supposed to bring good luck, so you know. We just got a disease. How often do you think about food miles? Well, I guess what's a food mile? Basically, do you ever stop to think about the distance your food has to travel before it arrives on your plate? Today, I'm going to the local farmer's market because I want to make a point about buying and eating local, but also because if I film myself shopping at the local No Frills, it would be a little embarrassing. A huge supermarket chain like No Frills and the associated family of Loblaws brands get their food from around the world and through several layers of processing, and it can take some significant work to know when they were made or when they were harvested. Buying local means that middlemen like distributors are completely cut out, and ideally, the foods that you're buying are fresh, require less transportation cost, and are more natural than the hyper-processed foodstuffs found at the large supermarkets. All the food I got today was from only a few kilometers outside of the city. On that topic, what did I get? Well, first let's talk about what I'm making for this little adventure. I've decided to, let's use some graphics. Canada's cuisine is something that's fascinated me for some time now. When you look at many old world countries, the cuisine is obviously linked to the land. Coastal countries eat a lot of seafood, countries with a lot of jungle forage everything, countries with cold climates rely on high-calorie foods to get through long stretches. The list goes on. But Canada and other settler colonialist countries are a little more confusing and a lot more interesting. Well, in my opinion. Canada's national dish, identified through survey results, is between pea meal bacon or back bacon, poutine, and maple syrup. First, pea meal bacon. This is an invention by a British Canadian based on British methods of curing meat. Poutine is a dish based on potato French fries, a New World crop granted, but prepared in the style of European cuisine. Gravy, a food as old as some of the oldest written recipes, and cheese curds, a dairy product from an animal not native to the Americas. Maple syrup is special, however. Sugar maple trees, this tree tapped for what we know as maple sap and the precursor to maple syrup, are native to North America, and boiling the sap into syrup was invented by the people native to this region. Because of this mixed-up history with Canadian food, I thought I'd like to honor it in a meal made of a mixture of foods and food history. We've got back and pea meal bacon, acorn squash, and maple syrup, all from local farms. I'll be making back bacon on a bun, a local food and a personal nostalgic favorite, roast acorn squash, a native crop and a delicious way to enjoy it, and maple taffy, a great way to enjoy an ancient Canadian food. However, as part of this involves food that's not from around here, I need to take a short detour. So the next leg of the trip is here at the supermarket, and I've chosen the Church of the Antichrist itself. But first, I'm gonna have a delicious apple fritter that I bought myself at the farmer's market because apple fritters, which I learned is another Canadian originated food, so points. Oh, whenever you're feeling down, fresh apple fritter, man. All right, So, let's see. Well, I know. That is the thing about supermarkets, isn't it? They pretty much know they're gonna have what I'm looking for. I'm regretting not getting a cart. Having to carry around all the farmer's market stuff. Because I can't. Well, I was gonna say I can't leave it in my car, but I don't have a car to leave it in. That's the problem. Okay. Wait a second, I thought this was supposed to make everything convenient. Who'd have thought it'd be so hard to find some things at one of these stores? To make this meal, I'm making as much as I can from scratch. In the time available, at least. I could have cured the meat myself, but it takes 4 days, and I don't think my housemates would appreciate a large tub of salty water full of meat in the fridge. So, I'm making my own buns though. As I want to make them as British as possible, I'm making a recipe for British breakfast baps, a name for a signature bread roll of the British Isles. It starts with a yeasted dough, kneaded in the best Christmas present I've ever received. Then we shape it and leave it for an hour to proof. Turn it out and proof again. Why? I don't know, but an adorable old British man on the internet told me it's better this way, and I believe him. Then we make the dough into buns and slice them open a little because it's pretty and helps them rise in the oven. Now the long process is out of the way, we can start the squash. Now these are the biggest squash I've ever seen, so we'll make some healthy portions. While I'm not exactly cooking them in the most authentic native to Canada style, I'm keeping it simple and delicious. That means all this is getting is a little butter, oil, maple syrup, salt, and pepper. Then we throw them in the oven and contemplate an onion. Anytime I've got back bacon on a bun, it's been topped with a healthy serving of caramelized onions. Now, I don't know how authentically Canadian this is, but frankly, I don't care. It's yummy. Caramelized onions are actually quite simple. All they just need is slow and low heat for a long time. So we'll leave them going while the squash is coming along. And since all that's left to do now is wait, there's some time to talk about what this project is all about. When activists talk about food systems and food security, especially when discussing the global crises related to food security, the problems seem to be very large scale, and it can make anybody feel powerless in the face of multinational corporations like Walmart or Nestle. They are large scale, and really one person doesn't have the power to change what a massive industrial power is doing on the other side of the globe. However, no one said we have to do this alone. Collective activism is more power than you might think, and there are already several groups trying to change the global food system and provide food security to those in need, like Bite Back, Food Share Toronto, Navdanya, dozens more. They're all fighting to improve food sovereignty, increase food security worldwide, and also heal people's broken relationships with their food. Again, they're doing fantastic work, but I want to take a second to look at what we as individuals can do. Now, food security, it's a pretty complicated issue. Food sovereignty, it's pretty much out of my hands. But my relationship with food, now there's something we can work with. We talk a lot about food systems and policy, and there's a lot that can be done by being vocal and active in changing the systems in place. But what about my weekly groceries? You see, food isn't just about getting the day's calories. Food can be medicine, as recognized by many indigenous groups. Well, not just them, but that's a big part of indigenization movements. What was I saying? Right. Food can be culture, a way for people to identify with others. Food is also a great way for people to come together and connect, spending time together and nurturing each other through the act of cooking. Food can also be art, and drives people like Heston Blumenthal to make crab ice cream? Okay, sure. What I'm trying to say is that I want to think about what I'm participating in by putting different things in my grocery basket. This week, I'm honoring the settler history of Canada and my own British heritage by making British rolls and cured pork. I'm making squash, one of the 3 sisters of North America, to honor the people who were here before my ancestors. I'm using delicious maple syrup to honor the land on which I live and the natural environment of my home. Side note, I don't want to hear about a certain matriarch associated with sugary syrups. I'm glad she was fired. We never got along, and I always knew that my maple syrup was better, okay? The biggest way food can be something other than sustenance in this world of dollars and cents is that by buying certain foods and getting them from certain places, I can choose how I'm impacting my food system. That's really why I bought all of this from local producers. I'm keeping money out of the pockets of huge corporations that are really going to ship my money far away to wherever they've decided to invest it, and instead I'm putting it directly into local businesses who are doing their part to provide locals with fresh, wholesome food at reasonable prices. There's something special about looking around at all the vendor stalls, picking out some always delicious looking fruit and veg that all look a bit different and a bit special, and taking it directly from the person who cared for the plants all season. Much better than picking one of the dozens of identical items from the refrigerator at the supermarket and paying via self-service terminal. And I want to try and make this a habit. It's only been an extra 20 minutes on top of my normal grocery run, and I know I'm making a good choice, a step towards more sustainable living, and maybe I'll get to know what eating Canada is really like. Alright, I think everything's just about done cooking now. All that's left to do is throw the bacon on, and past me is very hungry at this point. Took me 4 hours to get here, so let's eat. Now this was so nice. The back bacon on a bun brings back memories of a cold, early April morning. The squash is also delicious. Feels like wholesome home cooking. Well, guess it is. And it goes really well with everything else, actually. Accidentally good food pairing, I guess.
That would have been funny. Oh my god, that's really good.
Oh, and dessert! I'm trying something I remember from my childhood visiting local sugar bushes. For those who don't live in northeastern America and have no idea what a sugar bush is, it's a nickname for an orchard where they grow sugar maple trees and cook their sap into maple syrup and other delicious treats. Is that right? Orchard? Okay, guess so. Anyways, in cold, snowy months, they do this wonderful thing where they cook maple syrup a bit, pour it on the fresh snow, and make delicious chewy candy that you sort of roll up on a stick. It's a great time. I loved it as a kid. To do this at home, I'm cooking some lovely amber maple syrup to exactly 113 degrees Celsius or 234 degrees Fahrenheit. A very precise number because chemistry. Don't ask me, this is what candy experts say. While the heat's up, I'm making homemade snow. I tried crushing some ice with a hammer at first, but it wasn't really making it snowy enough, so the blender had to pitch in for the rest of it. Now comes the important part. It has to cool down in the snow properly to turn into candy, and also molten sugar's very, very hot and sticks to everything, so I tried my best not to die. We were successful, but it was a bit scary.
Oh, yeah, it's not really. Okay, I made a big one. No way. Let's put these here. Well,
Hey there. I'm editing this right now, and apparently it was so good that I forgot to talk about it, so it's gotta say something, right? So there you have it. A simple, authentic Canadian meal. You know, maybe I'll make this a habit. In the end, I'd like to thank my mom for teaching me how to cook, and for the bike shop employees for keeping me upright. Now, I urge you to think about not just what you're putting in your mouth, but what's on your plate. And not just from where it came from, but what it came from. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Try it yourself, please. It's a lot of fun. And bye-bye.
I listen to this a shit ton while running. Oh, this is a good song for running. Get this on camera.